Thank you for joining me today. I'm Rogue, and today I'm doing a review slash install on, you guessed it probably by seeing the background, an intake. I meant to say engine intake. It's hard. I suck at making intros, and that's why I struggle talking. And I also have a beautiful glare in my glasses that I hate, and I just can't find an angle to get rid of, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so as you can see here, I already picked up the intake. I got it off of OfferUp for the amazing price of. First, we'll be doing the unboxing. I already took off the tape just to make it a little easier, so the box should just open, and it did. We have, let's see, we have a bunch of protective stuff in here. We have a bunch of paper, we don't need that. Instructions, who uses those. Oh, actually wait. I need the parts that are in here, so we're gonna need to use the clamps, screws, and everything that's in here. So we're gonna save this for later. More paper. Okay, cool. This is the elbow, pretty much, where the mass airflow sensor is going to go to, and this goes into the throttle body, and this should go into the intake filter. Next, we have the actual intake right here. If I could only pick it up. We're gonna do a little car right now, and it magically opened. So here's here a nice beautiful blue filter that's gonna go on it. That's another part. Again, more paper, more instructions, more paper. Oh, and here, as you can see, in this white bag we have, looks like the cover or the casing that's gonna go onto the intake, so we have to hold on to this. And then last but not least, we can see that we have the cover that will go on top of the box, as you can see right here, with the nice engine inscription right on the side. The audio got corrupted here, and I was basically just wondering, like any other car guy, if they put any stickers inside, but I surely found the answer, and it was no. And since I didn't mention in the beginning, the intake is actually for my 2013 Scion FRS. So if you watched the first video, you probably know it, but in case you're wondering on the year, it's a 2013. Now that I got a little better lighting and I look a little more sweaty, even though I'm not sweaty, we're gonna head over to the car. We're gonna transition to the tools and stuff, and we're gonna see how that goes. It should be a pretty easy install considering that there's just an intake. So we'll transition with the engine bay open and everything lined up for this. And as you can see, the car is already here. It's ready to get that intake pulled in, or put in, I should say. What I'm gonna do, probably just gonna flip it so we have more light on the other side, since the light's coming all the way from that side. Of course, we'll have to get a coaster too, just because why not? As you can see, this is the stock intake right here, and it has a Perrin high flow filter, I think it's called. And as you can see, this whole contraption right here that goes into the throttle body, and as you can see, connects right here as well and goes down. Those were the tools. We're gonna need ratchets. I just have two different sizes because that is just how my extensions fit. We're gonna have a small one, big one, 12mm, 10mm, and we're gonna have a flathead and a Phillips. First, we're going to remove the main tube from the intake, and all we have to do is use the Phillips and unscrew. We're going to do the same for the second clamp that goes down, and use our fingers to pinch the tube out and unplug the mass airflow sensor. Continuing to use the flathead, we're going to loosen the other clamps on the sound box and the sound box that connects into the main intake and wiggle everything out. Now we're going to switch to the 10mm, and as you can see, we're going to take the rest of the intake out, and same as before, we're going to wiggle it out. The third and final spot we're going to use the extension is going to be below, adjacent to the windshield fluid. Pulling it right out, we're just going to set it to the side. Using a Phillips head, we're going to remove the two screws and take out the mass airflow sensor. Dropping the mass airflow sensor into the new tube and using Allen keys to screw it back in. Now using the rubber strip provided, we're going to coat it so the air doesn't come out. It might take a little. Now we'll provide a third access point for the box by removing this little clip. Now using the provided washers, nuts, and bolt, make sure to put everything back in place. The nut is going to be used for the third access point created. Now using the flathead again, we're going to tighten the clamp on the throttle body, adding the second clamp over and then trying to make sure we're adding the elbow of the intake nice and snug, and checking all around to make sure it's tucked in and we're not going to have any loose components. Now we're going to insert the filter, tighten the clamp as well on that side and make sure everything's secured. Having an overview, we can see how good everything looks and how much space we've cleaned up in the bay. Clip in the box and screw in the remaining bolts with the Allen. Now I'm going a step further, removing the whole soundbox contraption as it no longer has a use for my car and I don't just want it to sit around. After pulling out the soundbox, I plugged the hole that it left to the rubber cup provided. As you can see, there's way more space in the engine bay than before. We have a whole chunk right here that we can use in the future for turbo or whatever you choose to do for your build. And don't forget to plug in the mass airflow sensor again so that way your car can read it and nothing's going to malfunction. Okay, so right now basically is the second day. The intake was installed yesterday and I stopped recording because it was about 8 p.m. when I finished everything, so light was getting a little dark out there, and I wanted to have, you know, the best light and overall just performance so everybody can just like see everything, you know, that. And as you know, right now there's a bunch of riots here in the city of LA, so there was a curfew as well and there was a lot of cops and kind of risky. So right now what I'm gonna do, as you can see right here, I have my GoPro set up and I'm going to transition over to that. We're going to do a bunch of pulls, take the Frio as well, and give my most honest opinion. I mean, I'm not sponsored by the company that makes this intake, so I have absolutely no reason, you know, to take their side, and I don't bullshit when it comes to performance on my car or the parts that I put, because I wouldn't get something cheap, not like it, and then spend more money just to get something better. So I always put quality parts on it. So we're gonna transition over to the GoPro now, and we're gonna see exactly how it goes and give my most honest opinion about it. So let's go have some fun. Okay, now it should be over here on my camera. Car's already started. I couldn't do a cold start because I had to do some errands today, so let's just get straight into it. Okay, I mean, right off the bat, one thing that I really love about it, if you slightly rev the car and when you drive, sometimes this car is, as you know, it's an NA engine, so it doesn't have a supercharger or a turbocharger, but so the power, it's not super high but it's not super low because the things I've done to it. But the thing that I really enjoy about the intake right off the bat, it kind of makes like a little swish noise that you can kind of hear it just sucking in air, and it's satisfying. I mean, it's a really satisfying noise. If you heard, probably I think it's the blow-off valve on turbo engines. It sounds similar, just not as loud. I mean, it's definitely noticeable, but it doesn't make the sound to the point where it really irritates you. And literally as we're speaking, I just saw a Supra Mark IV just pass by, which is really strange because you don't see many of those around here. We're gonna see the performance. I retuned the car as well. I used Open Flash to retune it, so I have it on my performance tune right now, not on my show one, so we'll see exactly how it feels on that as well. We're off onto the streets. So far, I do have actually the temperature of my intake right here on my gauge, and compared to the stock one, it does stay way colder. Usually when I push the car a little with the stock one, it would go around like 200. Now it's around like a 138, and it says the intake air temperature, so it definitely does keep it way cooler. And that's something I really like, because I like going on canyon runs a lot, or just, you know, cruising or doing little freeway pulls. And one thing I did notice, it does like to heat quite a lot, so that's one of the main things that made me want to put an intake. All right, we're on to the freeway ramp right now. There is a traffic light ahead of us, unfortunately, on the ramp, so I can't do a full pull. But what I might just do, I know you're usually supposed to merge in third gear, I might just go full first and second just so I can get more of that pull and see exactly how it feels. All right, we're next up, a little 1320 right here at the light. As soon as it goes green, I'm just gonna gas it. All right, and here goes nothing. That was actually really impressive. I mean, I know it's not quite a major mod to do, but I mean, it still pulls like crazy, and the difference is actually noticeable. That was actually like my honest opinion, it actually amazes me. I mean, even though it's a 4-cylinder, you know, like a lot of people like to hit on this car because it's not quite the fastest. It's actually really fun to drive. I enjoy it, and I mean, to me, it sounds amazing. So I find that really great. I mean, it gets rid of most issues when it comes to overheating, and it's definitely like a great thing to have because you can never go wrong. But unfortunately, one thing that does suck, it's not a legal intake. So if you do get pulled over and they do check your engine bay, you might get a ticket. But I mean, again, life is too short and cars are too nice. So I mean, that's really just because you're cutting the restrictions from it. And I think it sounds amazing. I mean, it does give it like a lot more torque than you think, or at least like the fuel, I believe. It adds an extra 10 horsepower and I think like another 9 pound-feet of torque around there. Let's see. Alright, we're gonna get a couple downshifts here as well so we can see how they sound. Already down to 3rd gear. No problems with the install that I noticed. Still same decision, sounds amazing. Alright, we're in 2nd gear now. Going back on the freeway ramp. Back towards my house. I don't know why I choked over there, weird enough. Alright, let's see. Alright, fortunately there's another stop that I haven't seen. Alright. And here goes another pool. I mean, right there we're already gliding. We're about almost 80 miles an hour when we stop. So, I mean, that's just crazy. We're gonna go step on it. Like once again, we're at 80 miles an hour. It picks up super crazy. And even right now in 5th gear, we're about at 4,000 RPMs, and even if you step on it, you can already feel the torque just kicking in, and you're starting to take off. I was debating between this and a Corsa, and I want to say that I have absolutely zero regrets when it comes to getting this intake. I 100% recommend it, and I will do a review in the future to see exactly how it's going to be, probably in a couple of months, see if anything broke, if anything has to be replaced. But as of right now, this is actually a really great product, and I really enjoy it. I mean, I did a couple of pulls. I've been driving for quite a while now, and I'm still at 105 degrees when it comes to the air that's being sucked into the engine. And that'll do it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Unfortunately, I forgot to record an outro. Hope to see you next time. Peace!